Hello and welcome
to Red, White, and Bi.
This time brought to you by iPhone 13, 12?
13. We have changed our recording device.
Yeah, so a little word to the wise, if you are an aspiring podcaster, save yourself 50, 60, whatever dollars. Don't buy a microphone, just use your iPhone. So we're coming at you with episode lucky number 13. Can you believe we're in the teens, Ash?
Time flies when you're podcasting and having fun with your beautiful wife. Speaking of 13, have you guys heard about the 13 runaway Democrats out of Texas?
It sounds like a children's story. The 13 runaway Dems.
I kind of wish someone would write a children's story about it. Maybe we should, Just running away. It's like Michael Scott, running away from your responsibilities.
It would make a nice bedtime story because it's not scary and doesn't have all these implications for, democracy and the current governmental system. Why don't you tell us what's going on here, Ash?
So, in Texas, the current administration, Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, and then you have Ken Paxton, who is the attorney general. They didn't like the fact that they're trying to do some redistricting in that state because Texas had been going blue in a way that most people who think of Texas wouldn't have anticipated. It seemed a little strange.
But I think that we've been hearing about this, that Texas is like a purple state or possibly a swing state. It's definitely more blue since, I would say, the economic crash of 2001. A lot of people have been fleeing lower income states. And as Michiganders, I can say that a lot of people from Michigan have been fleeing to Texas too for the economy, for jobs.
Yeah, and you gotta admit that there have been a lot of people fleeing California because of such high taxes, moving to Texas that doesn't have income tax.
Yeah, I think a lot of people struggling right now see the benefits, the economic benefits of living in Texas. And so the makeup of what used to be, a pretty easy, sort of stereotype of what Texas was made up of is changing. That narrative is changing. And we've been told now, I would say for at least 10, 15 years that it's turning blue.
Yeah, and cities like Austin have become kind of liberal hubs in Texas. That is a real change that happened. So there are more Democratic voters than have been in the past. But if the district lines were drawn a bit differently, maybe that wouldn't be such a big swing. So that's what people in this current Texas administration are looking at. Is this done fairly? Let's vote about redistricting. Well, the Democrats that have benefited from the current districts don't want to mess with that. So they just left.
They just picked up their bags and split. How long ago did this take? This was all this week? Or
I think it's been over the past couple of weeks because basically they've been trying to get them to come back for the vote. And I've seen pictures of some of these lawmakers hanging out in Minnesota with Ilhan Omar. Some of them are holed up in a hotel in Illinois, and there was a bomb threat at the hotel where they were staying.
Because they were there?
Supposedly. And according to the BBC, by the way, it was all because of the redistricting that there was a bomb threat on Democrats. And it's maybe it was because they left and went to a hotel in Illinois.
So we talked about this story with each other earlier this week as it was developing. And I remember thinking okay, so you have people who are not happy with what's going on. It's a strange move to just flee the state. The taxpayers pay your salary, and so rather than fight for what you believe in, you just leave, which seems strange enough on its own. But then you go to Minnesota to hang out with Ilhan Omar, and my question for those people would be you're in breach of the rules of your office, right? So you're gonna go hang out with Ilhan Omar because she's bigger than the office that controls the rules of your job title? What? To me, if you're running away because you're in trouble, you're going to go to someone who's bigger and badder than your boss and who's going to protect you. So either they're hilariously misled, which I would like to believe, but I kind of don't, or Ilhan Omar has some tricks up her sleeve that are not on the books that maybe shouldn't be up her sleeve. I don't understand why she is like the, shroud of protection that they're looking for. Why is she Big Brother?
Well, what's interesting about Ilhan Omar's background is there is supposedly evidence that she got in the country by marrying her own brother, that she fraudulently became a citizen and is now a member of Congress. If that's true, oh, brother fucker. But if that's true, maybe it's like, well, she's corrupt. She'll know what to do. I don't really know why you would flee. I think part of it is that, she's like a squad member. They maybe want as much publicity about what they're doing as possible and would think she'd be the person to bring it to them.
But again, that raises the question of like, if you want max publicity for this, I would think that somebody who truly believes that they're in the right is the one who's going to flee to the media. Like, let's write a story about this because I've done no wrong and I need as much attention as possible, like their safety and exposure. Yeah. How could you possibly believe, as somebody who's done this, that this is the case? You've abandoned your post. I think we saw as recently as one day ago, the Attorney General Paxton is officially filing lawsuit against these 13 House of Rep Texans that they have fled their post and that the posts themselves should be considered vacated, that they've abandoned their job. And they want to basically have these seats open for new people to fill.
Yeah, and really, it's like you are there, supposedly, to represent your people. And if you're not representing anyone, then why should you be considered a representative? It's not like a crazy point to make. But then I saw another article suggesting that he needs to take a closer look at these people because they're not behaving like lawmakers. And it might be true that all of them committed election fraud to get their posts to begin.
Yeah, so what's the deeper story here? Like, I feel like you don't... Okay, there's something on the floor that you have to vote on that you don't like, and maybe you're concerned it won't go your way. What is different about this situation that caused them to flee, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's possible that they are fleeing because of a different violation of the law that they know will soon be revealed if people take a hard look at them. So they're getting out of Dodge before that happens, and that's possible.
And do we have any clues about what that might be?
I think it's possible that it was voter fraud, or there is sometimes election finance fraud. And they are pointing specifically to George Soros, a very rich Democrat billionaire who may have given them more money than is legally allowed, from this out-of-state billionaire donor.
I was going to say he's New York, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay.
So that could be a real possibility. I'd like to see the evidence, as to that. If they are continuing an investigation and there's more to be revealed, they might not have that yet, but the fact that they're taking a look as if they kind of know maybe what they're going to find says to me they might already.
Which again raises my original question of like, let's say deep in your heart you're guilty of some sort of election fraud or misuse of funds or whatever the case might allegedly be. So you flee the state in question. I would think that would be like a federal offense.
I think it's going to be...
Or if it's not, you've made it a federal offense by leaving state lines. So what... I'm concerned about the parts I don't understand here. I'm concerned about like the implications of your pattern of behavior doesn't make sense. You know something I don't know. You know something we as a country don't know. What the fuck is going on?
It's a weird story, and I think to your point earlier, if you were not doing anything wrong and they were going to try to district you out, wouldn't the most important statement to the public that you could possibly make be to show up for the vote, let them do what they're about to do, and then talk to the press about what a miscarriage of justice it is?
Yeah, I would think so. I would think that like staying and doing the job, being the resistance to the thing you don't want to see happen is the most important objective here. Certainly, it seems like the worst thing you could do is to flee, make yourself seem guilty, and put those seats in jeopardy. If you have 13 seats in the Texas House in a state that's sort of like waffling in between red and blue here, you're just going to open up 13 seats to whomever might win a popular vote? Like, that seems precarious, dangerous. And again, like, I'm afraid of the things that don't make sense here.
Yeah, it's a weird story, but I feel like it's one of those that as it develops is going to be more and more interesting to watch, because although there are a lot of moving parts, it's one of those things where whatever evidence Ken Paxton does have, you know, whether it's evidence of fraud or how this lawsuit to get them to return and actually do the vote is going to play out, things are going to change about this story in a way that will be very interesting. And the more information we have, and because it's kind of unprecedented, the more interesting it'll be to watch how this plays out. So
I want to say too, like, as we were discussing, like pre-recording, we're discussing that we want to do this story and talk about it. We're both looking up information on our phones, like, to get some details right and like try to act like we did some of our homework here. I have two news, I'm not going to name names because that's not what it's about, but I have two different news apps on my phone. One of them is known to be a little bit left and one of them is known to be right. And the reason I have those two is for those reasons. I want to kind of see like both perspectives. So I go to the right-leaning news app and I see a lot of stories about this all week long. They're like little tiny installments and like, frankly, like it's overcovered. Like it's stuff like I don't give a shit about. But then I go to the left-leaning news app and I don't think I saw a whisper of this entire situation. Yeah. It's concerning to me that it feels like unprecedented, strange, fraught with theories of what the larger actual hidden picture is. And to me, when I see only one side is talking about it, I see red flags. Are the red flags because it's sort of a fabricated fear-mongering thing, or are the red flags because only one side is talking about it because the other side doesn't want attention on it? I feel like in a case like this, you have factual things happening that can't be denied, so it's much more that one side doesn't want us talking about this. And to me, that's where you should be looking.
And what's interesting, too, is I did find an article from Hannah's left-leaning source, but it was more like page 6, because it's not popping up on her app. And I find it, and it's from 2 days ago, even though there have been developments.
So, long story short, I don't think, to my one point anyway, I don't think that you can necessarily trust a very right-leaning or a very left-leaning news source for the exact same reasons. But to me, you need to read between the lines. Like, if one is reporting and one is not, or one is bloating the numbers and one is not, it tells you much more than the actual words that they're printing. And I think this is part of our, like, trying to be, like, a moderate critical thinker, is, like, what is the very loud thing that they're both not saying?
Yeah. And I've definitely noticed, as somebody who tries to read various news sources, that sometimes a story that I have thought is huge is not covered at all by the left. And sometimes a story that I think is a little majority in the state already, and that
some weird fringe marginal right conservative group is pushing out the majority.
That the lawmakers are the majority, and it's only the Texas governor and his attorney general that are making trouble.
So, long story short, I don't think, to my one point anyway, I don't think that you can necessarily trust a very right-leaning or a very left-leaning news source for the exact same reasons. But to me, you need to read between the lines. Like, if one is reporting and one is not, or one is bloating the numbers and one is not, it tells you much more than the actual words that they're printing. And I think this is part of our, like, trying to be, like, a moderate critical thinker, is, like, what is the very loud thing that they're both not saying?
Yeah. And I've definitely noticed, as somebody who tries to read various news sources, that sometimes a story that I have thought is huge is not covered at all by the left. And sometimes a story that I think is a little blown out of proportion by the right is covered way too much. And, like, you see the bias when you're really looking for everybody to cover or not cover a story.
I think something that we're seeing in 2025, and something we've seen since the dawn of the 24-hour news cycle is like, in politics in general, it's like follow the money. That's where you'll find your truth. And I think also follow the media attention. What is headlining? What is the big digestible story that everyone wants to talk about at the water cooler? What is the big item that you can get everyone speaking about, whether or not it's true, whether or not it's accurate, what's going to get people buzzing, what's entertaining?
Yeah. If it bleeds, it leads.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Moving on to something more fun and pop culture-y.
Ash, can we talk about the American Eagle jeans commercial with Sydney Sweeney, please?
We can talk about Sydney Sweeney anytime, because I like Sydney Sweeney, actually.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I think she's pretty talented for a young actress. Mm-hmm. I thought she did a good job in that reality movie.
I think so. I guess this doesn't matter, my opinion of her as an actress, but I'm interested by her, and I'm interested to see somebody who does make it big, who is also pissing off liberals, because I feel, and maybe I'm out of line here, but my impression has always been that like media, TV, movies have always sort of been like a little liberally driven.
Sure.
So if there's somebody who's being accused of being some like closet conservative and she's still doing well, she's interesting to me, and I like an outlier like that.
I've always found that interesting when there's somebody who seems bigger than the fact that Hollywood is leftist. Mm-hmm. And to me, those people have always been like Bruce Willis.
Oh, okay.
Like somebody America loves, and if they love you enough, it doesn't matter that you're not left-wing. They can't topple you.
I didn't even realize that about Bruce Willis. He's conservative?
Die Hard, baby. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. He is conservative.
That was like 80s, 90s. Everyone was that way, right? Like,
one would hope, but I also find it interesting that the same is true of Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, okay.
Like, he's popular enough, and I would argue, even though he's never said it, the fact that he's never said it speaks volumes. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise never has ever had a bomb at the box office.
I'm intrigued by Tom Cruise for that reason. Like, he's never failed. He is top of his field. I don't think he's he's not a bad actor by any means, but he's no like Daniel Day-Lewis or whatever. Like, he is what he is. His movies are consumable and fun, but they're consistent hits.
I think he may not be Daniel Day-Lewis, but I think that's exactly why he's successful. Tom Cruise is a very humble actor. He's never been up his own ass. Yeah. And people like that about him. And
I know you've told me this too, that people say he's one of the kindest people you'll ever want to meet.
Yeah, that he's kind to crew, that he's kind to strangers. I don't know if Scientologists are putting people in danger for him to save, but he's saved numerous people in like the Tampa area.
I totally think they are, but that's a different podcast.
Yeah, he saved a woman from drowning. That kind of stuff happens, but he basically, even if Scientology might be a little wackadoo and has its downfalls, he takes like the values of Scientology seriously, and he thinks you have to be a good person. Like that it's
just
about,
like I don't have to agree with the tenets of Christianity to know that a good Christian is a good person.
Yeah, it's about, leveling up literally in Scientology, and I think he cares about being good. And I think, to get back to talking about this Sydney Sweeney ad, blue jeans are like Americana, Right, so let's talk about the ad. So we've seen the ad. We know it's Sydney Sweeney, and she's prancing around or maybe not prancing. She's lounging in a sultry manner in some American Eagle jeans and a denim top, and she's talking about jeans in a very pun type way, like walking that line between jeans like denim and jeans like chromosomes. Which is the point of the commercial, is like to make little like double entendre quips about those two things. Like, you have good jeans, and it's like these American Eagle jeans are good, and I'm pretty. Yeah. And I look good in them. And a good pair of jeans, I think they say like everybody looks good in a good pair of jeans. And to me that says like, hey, if you buy these jeans, it's a very like standard ad. If you buy these jeans, you'll look good too. And that's all it's really, I think, trying to accomplish.
For sure, and is trying to, and I think it's a really Americana idea. I realize that like not everyone has the same American experience, but I think if you're looking at classic Americana, think Bruce Springsteen, think 4th of July, think
milk ads in the 90s.
Milk ads in the 90s, just the blue collar experience of punching in, working hard, providing for your family, like the standard American dream. Blue jeans are part of that. They're part of like cowboy culture and like just working hard and wanting the best for yourself and your family. And so it's playing off of that. It's playing off of who we are as a country, who we are as individuals, and how jeans fit into that. And I think it's a unique part of world culture, Americans and their jeans. I mean, that's how they know that we're European tourists, is because we have blue jeans on.
And I might be a Kinsey 5, but it's like women love the idea of cowboys in a pair of jeans that fit. And there is no hot person, in my humble opinion, who doesn't look best in a tight pair of jeans, where you can see their curves, whatever they may be.
You can see what God gave you.
Yeah, and it's like, it's probably the most comfortable you can be in a pair of tight pants that you're going to be is just jeans and a t-shirt. Like, that's the American way. And and people, to me, look most themselves when you're out in the world having a good time in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, So for her to be in, let's face it, double denim can usually be a kind of lesbianic look, but
the Canadian tuxedo, we call it here in the Midwest.
But she's got, her sizable tatas kind of coming out a little bit there. And she's got the long blonde hair and blue eyes and looks very feminine in the ad.
Oh, I hadn't noticed any of those things.
I'm not a tit person, but I'm an ass man. And that's why I was talking about jeans all the time.
Ash is afraid of big tits, which I think is adorable that you love this commercial.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I'm not saying this to be like an ass or anything like that, but I think Sydney Sweeney is a better actress than I find her attractive. Because I'm not like a blonde hair person, and
there's something about her that is kind of like anemic and fragile looking. Like, she seems like she's sweaty and hungry all the time, and I kind of just want to like give her a nap and a cheeseburger. But I like her.
Yeah, I think like there's no getting around how darkly funny some of her scenes on the second season of Euphoria are, as she sort of like makes a nervous breakdown funny. And people who can be funny and who can take as many like close-up headshots, reality, that film, as she did, and does not look attractive in that movie because she's not supposed to. It's not what it's about.
Yeah.
I think usually when I see actresses do that kind of range, it's pretty brave. So
getting back to the commercial, the actual controversy of it is that she's talking about jeans in a way that some people have decided to snatch and run with and say that it is actually advocating for eugenics. At one point, she's talking about like having good genes and your genes tell you who you are. And she said, my genes are blue, meaning she was talking about eye color. And obviously her denim jeans were blue as well.
And blue blood, maybe,
Perhaps.
But whatever.
But people have decided to run with that and say that she is advocating for eugenics. There are many people that are a stain upon American history that were actual eugenicists. And as two people from Michigan, I think you'll know who we are referring to. There are very clearly people here in our somewhat like recent like living memory who wrote books on eugenics, who were very big into the eugenics movement, even before like the whole World War II European push for Aryan race type bullshit.
And who translated from the original German the Protocols of the Elders of Zion.
Right. So the point being, eugenicists are pretty open, and you can find them if you're looking for them. Do I think American Eagle execs are eugenicists? Do I think Sydney Sweeney is eugenicists?
And here's the irony.
Come the fuck on.
I have no idea what came first. But the rumor is that the initial ad campaign was going to start with Sydney Sweeney, because she's a big star. She's doing makeup commercials, and she's kind of like just becoming the it girl.
She's a bit of an it girl.
that they were going to start with her, and then they were going to do an ad campaign with every race you can imagine, where they basically had a beautiful person of every kind of race, and now they feel like they can't.
Which, if you like take a vacuum look at this commercial and you think about it from like a marketing perspective, it makes a lot of sense to feature people, as many diverse and opposite from each other people as possible, and talk about genes, because that, honestly, that's a really empowering message. Like, we all have our own genes, just like I'm sure the brand wants to say we all have our own fit and size, and like whatever like shape and style is most flattering to us is as unique as we are as individuals. Do I think it's a stretch for fast fashion? Absolutely. But like, I get where they're going with that, and it's a really smart ad campaign.
Yeah.
To Ash's point, like, I understand why they started with Sydney Sweeney, because she's a bit of an it girl, a big name. And I mean, look at it. The fact that we're talking about it right now, it was a big splash.
And it's sort of like casting a film and like doing the billing, like who gets first billing. If you did everybody and you did Sydney Sweeney last, you could do that. Or you could start with the it girl, but you probably, if you get Sydney Sweeney to sign on, you probably don't want to put her somewhere in the middle. You probably want her to feel special so that she keeps working and renewing a contract with you.
Yeah, and that's not how marketing works. You don't start with a slow burn. You have about like 10 to 15 seconds to grab attention. So you are going to start with your big name. It's just good business and good marketing sense.
Yeah.
I would be curious. I feel like, speaking from a place of expertise as someone who has watched every cycle of America's Next Top Model, I feel like they would have probably recorded many of these at the same time and released them, sequentially. I would be curious if any of these other different actor advertisement spots have been made, and if we could see them.
Actually, I saw an article where they had all been made.
They exist, right?
They exist.
That was my suspicion, that they all got made probably in the same week or the same day.
Yeah.
And that they're sitting somewhere, and American Eagle doesn't know whether or not to release them yet. But they exist, and the fact that they exist, that's your fucking answer. It's not eugenics.
Yeah, to Hannah's point, like, if it had been made rapid fire, like, weeks later, you would know that they were trying to do cleanup.
They would be very suspicious.
But they're standing by the ad. They didn't pull it. They are not walking things back. And they said what they meant, like, why they made it. And then they released, like, here's our pictures from all the other ones we did, to your point, that they couldn't have pulled off in such a short period of time. And if people really thought it was racist, all those people wouldn't have been involved.
Yeah, and I guess I wonder about that a little bit. I understand why they are hesitating right now, because it's controversial. It's like any exposure is good exposure. Even, if it's like people are talking about you badly, it's brand exposure. But in my mind, it's like they've already waited too long.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised. Like, they should have just released all of them at once the conversation started.
But maybe, that could be just genius marketing. Maybe they're like, people are talking about this. We got to let it go for a little while because we can't, like, we got to let the buzz happen. But then you have ridiculous other stories coming out, like Sydney Sweeney has a German Shepherd. So she's a Nazi, or the dog is a Nazi.
Yeah, because dogs care.
But I must point out that after all of this, the Boston Red Sox had Sydney Sweeney come out and throw out the first pitch, and I don't know if it was a screen or just the biggest American flag in the history of American flags, but it looked like half the stadium was an American flag, and they have this, like, pretty American girl come out in her jeans. And
God bless. Is there anything more American than denim, a girl with big tits, and baseball?
And baseball. Like,
I have no issue with any one of those things. I'm just happy to be bisexual and in America.
And I know the expression, like, as American as, baseball, apple pie, that people aren't watching baseball the way that they used to. And it's probably nice to see, like, hey, man, we've leaked this girl's voter record, and she's a Republican. And while some people are going to bash her for it, we're just going to let her throw out a pitch because she is a girl who loves blue jeans and America, and she's blonde, and we love baseball and pretty women, and let's just take America back and let her throw a baseball.
I feel like the whole conversation is hinting at the fact that, like, okay, the other day we were streaming something, and first of all, I think it's bullshit that Amazon Prime charges a monthly fee and still gives you fucking commercials.
Yeah.
So let's just leave that for another day. But the fact is we were streaming and we got some commercials, and there was something like kind of clearly aimed at millennial women. I'm not going to remember what the ad was, but it was like makeup or hair dye or something like that. And it was aimed at like women our age or maybe even a little bit older, like late Gen X. And it was like overtly sexual. And there was like a woman in like low cut jeans, which I haven't seen in forever, and like bare midriff and like draped over like who knows what, but it was like very sexy and over like buy this thing and you can be as sexual as this girl. And as much as like that's an annoying message, because I remember growing up with those messages constantly on TV, I was kind of like happy about it in a weird nostalgic way. It was like, oh, remember when we were allowed to celebrate being sexy?
Yeah.
Like, I have no problem with bigger women, certainly have no problem with brown people or whatever. All types of bodies are beautiful and all types of people are beautiful, and there's plenty of value in every single person. But there has been this mood of like, you're not allowed to enjoy something that may have been at one point considered stereotypical.
Or you're not allowed to enjoy whatever you think is beautiful. You have to let somebody else tell you what's beautiful. And I will say it, if I were a dude, you could call me a piggy if you want, you know, that's fine. But back in the 90s, there was the Cindy Crawford Pepsi ad where she wore a white tank top tucked into some tight Daisy Dukes. And the boys were like, check out that can, because it was a new Pepsi can. And, you know, Cindy Crawford was an it girl, and she was in my favorite music video, which is David Fincher's Freedom 90 George Michael video.
Oh, yeah, you love that.
And George Michael is barely featured in it. He had models, female models, lip sync his music.
Tyra's in that, right? She's Tyra Banks?
Not in that one.
No? I thought she was.
That's too funky.
Naomi.
Too funky. Naomi Campbell.
Yeah.
Linda Evangelista, Christy Turlington, and we have also Cindy Crawford. Cindy Crawford's in a tub. She's completely naked in a tub. You know, she's bubbled up and all
I was going to say there's bubbles at least, right?
Yeah. And it's like these were beautiful women who were supportive of a guy whose music videos they've been in the past when he was supposed to be romancing them, coming out. But it's like, I think George Michael was one of the most beautiful people. Like, he was
a fox.
He was handsome.
He was almost too good looking. He's almost like uncanny. Like something engineered about him.
I'll take it.
Okay.
But all that to say, like, that was a time when, like, they were toying with the fact that, like, we had to be aesthetically pleasing for the opposite sex. And I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm going to have these women speak for me because I'm friends with them. And it's a really cool video, and they're all beautiful people, but they had a message that was something the opposite of that, you know, just like, hey, we shook our butts for you and we're kind of sick of it or whatever. But would it have been any more impactful if they had been other shaped people? Like, I don't know that would have made a difference. Like, they said what they said and they found a way to do it. And it's like, why does it always have to be what somebody else tells you it has to be?
Or rather, why can't it be someone who tells you something is out of fashion or old fashioned or maybe even like a moral failing to find attractive? Like, how did we go from... in the 1960s, it's a moral failing for interracial couples to exist. Like, that is, like, against God's will. So we all recognize that as being backwards and awful and, like, the most fucked up thing you could say. Here we are in 2025. I'm not allowed to enjoy a large-breasted, blue-eyed, blonde-haired girl who looks great in double denim. I'm not allowed to like that.
And I
because
say,
it somehow makes me like a Nazi.
Yeah, go ahead and like it, because you're not going to find it in our marriage.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the point of like all this stuff, right? It's like we don't all have to look. Okay, all art isn't going to look like Michelangelo's David sculpture.
Yeah.
Men don't look like that in a typical sense. Some men obviously do, but like, but that's why it's beautiful. It's outstanding. It's unusual. It's something that draws your attention because you don't see that every day. So when you have to make everything every day normal, you lose that excitement and you lose that rarity and beauty. And I think it's okay to celebrate someone who's exceptional.
Yeah.
I mean, how post-apocalyptic do we have to be if we all have to be the same? There's value. Listen, there is value in everybody. I'm not saying there isn't. But can't we agree that there are exceptional beauties? There is exceptional intelligence. There is exceptional anything you can think of. There are exceptional artists or scientists or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming all of this on one person. But I think a good example of, like, the antithesis of what you're saying is how Obama, when he came into office, said, I believe in American exceptionalism the same way a Greek would believe in Greek exceptionalism.
Okay.
And really trying to diminish exceptionalism, trying to diminish American exceptionalism, that's very Harrison Bergeron to me. Like, everybody's got their handicap to bring them down so that everybody's equal to everyone else. And it's like, I could point out, and she'd give me a hard time about it, but, like, I think Hannah is smarter than I am in a lot of, like, really useful ways. And I think that's why I fell in love with her, you know?
Well,
like, and I just think, like, being exceptional is often a very, very good thing. And to diminish that is a mistake.
And this is a great example. Thank you, by the way. Like, I'm really flattered. But, like, this is a great example of what we can say, like, as a larger cultural statement. Like, you think I'm more intelligent than you. I think intelligence is widely varied. There are a lot of ways to be smart, and there are a lot of things to be smart about. I can, if it's okay to say, I can understand how you come at me thinking about me that way, because I think you and I have wildly different intelligences. When I think about the way that you understand people and the way that you remember, like, verbatim, you remember conversations or you remember relationships, you remember things and understand things that I don't have the faintest idea about. So I think in that way, as a couple, we complement each other really well. But I think it's also a great statement about, like, culture in general, that what I find exceptional in you is totally different from what you find exceptional in me. And they're both true. And that doesn't make either of us less. So Sydney Sweeney, maybe she looks exceptional in her American Eagle denim. That doesn't make me less for also wearing American Eagle denim and not looking like her. It's just different.
Yeah. And I think when we talk about Sydney Sweeney, something I think, like, is holding her back as an actress is, like, that Cassie kind of
Valley Girl presentation.
I think it's like she could be great in certain roles, and I think there are other roles where if she couldn't shed that, it would hurt her. So she might be talented, she might have better emotional intelligence than a lot of people, and it makes her a good actress, but I think, you know, she wouldn't be perfect for every role. Like,
sure.
And I think that's true of a lot of people, but it's like, she's not perfect, but she could be an example of Americana, and why can't we use her for a jeans ad?
Or to throw a first pitch at a baseball game.
Exactly.
Like, God bless her. Like, can we all just, like, crack a beer and enjoy the scenery?
Yeah, we should be able to just enjoy things. And I feel like the mood on the modern left, the extreme left, is to suck the enjoyment out of life. They criticize and critique everything so much that it diminishes everything, including our relationship with other people.
Well, it diminishes the idea that we can have preference or taste. If, you know, blonde hair, blue-eyed, big boobs is not your thing, that's totally okay. There are many other sources of entertainment and advertisement and whatever, you know, have you, that feature different types of people. I think that's what makes us cool. That's what makes us the melting pot. Like, if that's not your thing, that's okay. You're not less. You're not less American. You're not less whatever, attracted to women or, like, aesthetically intelligent. You're allowed to have different tastes, and the people who like these things are allowed to like these things.
And the craziest example, I think, to the antithesis of what you're saying, is that people on dating sites, I've seen videos about this by Blair White. They will accuse people of terrible things if if they're a lesbian who doesn't want to date a trans woman, for example. And it's like, I'm allowed to have a preference that someone who I'm going to be with doesn't have a penis. I'm allowed. Yeah. And the idea that people say that you're not allowed to have that preference is scary to me, because that seems really rapey to me.
Well, I think if you are allowed to enjoy tall, dark, and handsome, or you're someone who's attracted to women and you like tiny, curvy, short little women, like we all have preferences. And if you pretend that you don't, if you pretend that your only criteria is human, you're not bisexual, you're not pansexual, you're fucking coached and brainwashed.
Yeah.
You have a preference, and that's okay. Evolution gave you a preference. And it's for the survival of humanity. Like, it's healthy, it's good, it's not going to match mine, and it shouldn't. It's okay. All right, Ash, you want to tell them about our new exciting development here?
We have a Gmail account, redwhiteandbi@gmail.com. It's not an ampersand this time. It's just A-N-D. They don't let you do special characters. But if you guys ever want to reach out to us directly, you have some opinions about something we've said, look at that as your line to us. You can reach out to us directly. We will read what you write us on the show.
So basically, what led us to making this redwhiteandbi@gmail.com, we've noticed a little bit of an uptick in our listening and downloads and streaming. And we know you guys are kind of coming at us from all these different platforms. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify.
We're on Apple.
We're on Apple Podcasts. So this is like one central way to reach us if you want to. We really want to kind of have like a listener engagement sort of atmosphere here. There's stuff that you might want us to talk about, or things you didn't like that we said, or things you did like that we said. And as the listenership we're seeing like an upward slope on our graph. We want, especially you early listeners, to have a voice, and we want to talk about what you want to talk about. So please hit us up with your opinions on what we're saying, what you'd like to hear more about, anything really.
Yeah, and something that I think would be interesting is, obviously, we'd love commentary on the stories that we're talking about, your opinions about them, your opinions on our opinions, but also there's just a yes or no usually when we do these polls. And if you have more to say about the poll, we'd love for you to send us an email and just let us know what you're thinking about it. And that leads us to our next poll question.
All right, so our next poll question for episode 13, what do you think is the most important part in advertising? So we're kind of going back to the Sydney Sweeney story here. Is the most important part about advertising being inclusive and representing as many types of people as possible, like making everyone feel sort of like included on the same level? Whether or not you think that's a good thing, is that the goal of advertising, or do you think advertising is really best when it's celebrating exceptionalism? Honestly, it could go either way. I think there are different types of products, in my opinion, that could benefit from one way or the other.
Yeah, I think it's probably, do I want to target as many individuals as possible, or do I want people to feel cool when they buy this product?
Yeah, so go ahead and take our poll if you're a Spotify listener. If not, shoot us an email. Let us know what you're thinking. Get in early before this thing blows up. And we want to talk to you and about you and read your stuff. And honestly, the whole idea of the podcast, like kind of leaving like this bipartisan point of view, it would be really cool if you just shared your story about when you realized you weren't blue or red. Like, what made you realize that this two-party system isn't doing it for you?
Yeah, what pissed you off and drove you over the edge?
Yeah, we're not looking for MAGA. We're not looking for Team Bernie. We're looking for those people who realize that those aren't the options they want.
Well, thank you for listening to episode 13. We're looking forward to spending more time with you next week.
All right. In the meantime, have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
You lucky things.
Bye.